So, let me begin in a familiar space for all of us. I begin with a question. What does it feel like to be hurt? I'm not talking about disappointment or just being upset for a day or two. I mean truly hurt. The kind of hurt that doesn't stay in the past and the kind that leaves a mark somewhere inside you and a scar so tender that years later, a conversation, a movie, a song, a place, a memory, a smell, or even a person's name can suddenly bring you an intense feeling of pain. You relate to that? And before you even realize what's happening, something could have taken over too. Your chest might have tightened, your thoughts must have raised, you must have become defensive, or angry, or shut down, or withdrawn, or you react in a way that you did not even expect. And afterward, when the moment has passed, you sit there with a familiar feeling of, why did I react like that? I could have handled that differently. That's not who I really am. And yet, in the moment, it feels like almost impossible to stop, as though the wound moved faster than your awareness, as though an old pain quickly took the controls. To me, that's what hurt does. Not just remind you of the pain, but it takes control. Because pain itself isn't the problem. Pain is part of being human. The problem is when the pain starts acting on your behalf, deciding who you trust and who you love and who you are with and how you react or protect yourself. And most of us don't even notice it immediately. We notice it when there is a recurring pattern, when there's this continuous overreaction, recurring conflict, an inability to let someone go, until one day we see it clearly that this is costing me something. Now, that moment matters because that's not yet healing, but that is your invitation to heal. And I don't think healing comes at one shot. I think it begins as a moment of awareness, a moment where we start asking, why do I keep feeling like this? And that awareness changes everything. Until awareness arrives, we cope, we adapt, we survive, we explain, we justify, we distract ourselves. Sometimes we become so familiar with the wound that we forget life could feel different at all. Until one day, in a moment, you feel, damn, this pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of changing. And perhaps that is the moment healing truly begins. Not when the hurt disappears, but when we decide it can no longer stay in charge. Now, here's something I have learned over the years. Healing is not only for the person who was hurt. Sometimes healing belongs to the person who caused the hurt as well. The one carrying regret. The one replaying a moment they wish they could undo. The one who keeps punishing themselves for what they said, what they did, and what they even failed to do. Because some people are wounded by what happened to them and others are wounded by what they cannot forgive themselves for. And both need healing. And that leads me to something I've shared with many coaching clients over the years. It's something very simple and I'm hoping it might help. When a wound is still alive inside someone, it sometimes is difficult to handle or make progress. And so I allow the person to revisit that moment, not to relive it and punish themselves with it again, but to look at it honestly. What happened? What did it feel like? What did I do? What did I not know then? What did I not do then? What was my part? It's not for blame, but for ownership. Because blame keeps us stuck, but ownership opens the door at the end. And then when they are ready, I ask them to say something to themselves aloud. And sometimes I allow them to do this in their own privacy, in front of a mirror, standing honestly in front of themselves and looking into their own eyes and remembering the past and telling themselves just these two simple words. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. And it's okay. Not because what happened was okay and not because the hurt was okay, but because we are human. Because if we had known better, maybe we would have handled it better. But in that moment, we did not have the awareness we now have. And something happens when we stop punishing yesterday's version of ourselves with today's understanding. Because then a little space appears, a little compassion shows up, a little breathing room. And healing needs that. But healing cannot stop there. Because compassion without action becomes another hiding place. So after it's okay, and feeling that it's truly okay, then comes the next question. Now that I know better, what will I do? And that's where healing becomes real. Because healing is never just awareness, healing is action. Sometimes the action is an apology. It is sometimes drawing a boundary, sometimes a conversation, sometimes walking away, sometimes staying and responding differently, sometimes asking for help, sometimes finally telling the truth. The action will look different for each person, but the principle never changes. Healing is participation. It is not a gift we passively receive. Well, does prayer help? Yes. Therapy? Yes. Coaching? Yes. Time? Definitely. Love? Surely. Conversations? Faith? All of them. It can bring us to that doorway. But none of them can walk through it for us. Because healing belongs to the person willing to take the next step. And that step returns something very important. It returns power. Not power over others, but power over ourselves. Our voice, our choices, our responses, and our peace. And perhaps that's the difference between closure and healing. Closure waits for someone else, while healing, we take the action. Because it does not even make sense to wait for the person who hurt you to heal you. And it does not make sense to spend the rest of your life punishing yourself for a moment that has already taught you what it needed to teach you. So this is where I want to leave you today. If there is a wound you have been carrying, if there is a great regret you have been punishing yourself with, if there is a pattern you are tired of repeating, maybe this is your moment. You can choose healing. All you have to do is just look at it, feel it, own what is yours and release what is not yours. And tell yourself, it's okay. And then take that one action, that honest, courageous action that gives you back the power. Because healing does not begin when pain disappears. Healing begins the moment you decide, this may have happened to me, this may have hurt me, but this is not going to decide what I can do from here. And maybe from that moment onward, healing stops being something you are waiting for and becomes something you are finally choosing.